After the attack on the Continental in the previous episode, the high table moves fast and without mercy. A message goes out to every Continental hotel in the world simultaneously, the same 6 words landing in every manager's hands within the hour. The New York Continental has violated the order of the high table. Winston is given one final opportunity to surrender John's location and end this quietly. He refuses without hesitation the same way he refused the first time. The response comes almost immediately. The New York Continental is declared hostile territory, every assassin affiliated with the high table authorized to enter the building and do whatever needs doing inside it. For the first time in the hotel's entire history, stretching back further than most of its current staff even know, the Continental loses its immunity completely. Winston gathers what's left of his staff in the lobby that night, the damage from the earlier attacks still visible in cracked marble and boarded windows. Many employees have already fled, understandably, unwilling to die for an institution that can no longer protect them. The high table has cut off their resources, their supply lines, everything that used to keep the hotel running smoothly. Winston knows, standing in front of the handful who stayed, that they cannot win a conventional war against an organization this large. But he also knows something the high table has apparently forgotten in all its confidence. The Continental network stretches across the entire world, and some of those managers have quietly hated the high table for years, waiting for exactly this kind of opening. Some assassins are simply tired of being controlled by rules written by people they've never met. Winston sends out his own message in response, short and direct. The table has forgotten who serves whom. One by one, over the following hours, Continentals around the world begin responding. John initially refuses to lead anyone at all. He doesn't want an army standing behind him, doesn't want followers who might die because of decisions he makes. "I work alone," he tells Winston flatly. Winston doesn't back down from the point. "That's why they were able to control you," he says. And something about that lands harder than John expects. 4 years, the high table isolated every assassin under its control, deliberately, methodically, making each of them believe they were entirely alone in this world, dependent on the organization for everything that kept them alive. John's survival has quietly proven, without him ever intending it to, that another way exists. Elsewhere, Kane is trying to live the peaceful life he believes he finally earned, convinced his debt to the high table was settled the moment that duel ended. Then an assassin arrives at his door with a simple message. Kane must report to the table. Kane refuses outright, the same way he refused everything else in his life that threatened what little peace he'd found. The high table responds by threatening his daughter directly, and Kane understands in that moment that his freedom was never real to begin with. It was only ever temporary, a leash they could pull back in whenever they wanted. He has one choice left in front of him now: go back to being their weapon or turn and fight them for good. Kane chooses to fight. Around the same time, Akira learns that Kane is still alive, and everything she spent years preparing herself for comes rushing back at once. Her father's death, the plans for revenge she's carried quietly ever since. But when she discovers the high table is using Kane's own daughter as leverage against him, something shifts in her understanding of who's actually responsible for everything she's lost. Kane was never the one who orchestrated her father's death. The high table was. Akira joins the rebellion, and just like that, a new alliance forms, John, Kane, and Akira, standing together for the first time, though none of them fully trust one another yet. The high table sends its forces into Manhattan, not in the form of an army marching through the streets, but as elite assassins scattered across the entire city at once. Hotels, subway platforms, rooftops, nightclubs, restaurants, even churches. Every corner of New York becomes a potential battlefield overnight, and the Continental itself sits at the very center of it all. Winston activates every defense the old building still has. The doors lock down. The lights cut out one section at a time. Weapons are pulled from hidden storage and distributed to whoever's left willing to fight. The staff braces for war. John walks through the Continental's front doors, and everyone inside stops what they're doing at once. The legend has returned, standing right there in the lobby in the flesh. Winston watches from the balcony above without a word. John doesn't say anything either. He simply walks straight toward the armory and selects what he needs. A pistol, a shotgun, 2 combat knives, enough ammunition to last the night. Then he pulls on a black suit, the familiar shape of it settling over him like something he never actually stopped being. Winston finally speaks. "Ready?" John checks the last magazine before answering. "No. A beat. Let's go." The high table's forces hit the Continental hard, and John fights through the hotel floor by floor, room by room. But this time, for the first time in longer than he can remember, he isn't fighting alone. Winston's remaining staff fight alongside him, holding corridors and stairwells. Kane appears not long after, moving through the chaos with the same precise, tactical calm he's carried through every fight of his life. Then Akira arrives, fast and aggressive, cutting through anyone who gets close. For the first time, audiences see all three of them operating together in the same space. John relentless and direct, Kane precise and economical, Akira fast and unpredictable. Their styles couldn't be more different, but together they become something close to unstoppable. While the fighting rages on through the lower floors, Winston makes his way to the hotel's central communications room, moving with a purpose entirely his own. The regent contacts him directly through the terminal there. "You could have ruled this city," the regent tells him calmly, as if the battle raging just floors below them isn't happening at all. "I never wanted to rule it," Winston answers. "Then what do you want?" the regent asks. Winston looks around at the hotel he spent his entire life protecting, damaged now but still standing. To stop being ruled. He destroys the High Table's communication network right there at the terminal, and for the first time in its entire history, the High Table loses direct control over its own assassins in the field. John finally reaches the regent in the chaos, but once again the man refuses to fight him directly. Instead, he offers up the next piece of a puzzle that's been building since Key Point 1. The High Table, he explains, was never created simply to control assassins. It was built to protect something far older and far more hidden. The 12 families sitting visibly on the High Table were never the true leaders at all. Their guardians, nothing more, standing in front of something else entirely. The real organization, the one represented by that black circle with 12 marks and a hidden center, is called the First Table. It existed long before the modern High Table did, and it has been quietly manipulating the entire assassin world from the shadows for centuries. "You killed the Marquis," the regent says. "You survived the duel. You destroyed the rules." He smiles, unbothered by any of it. "But you've never met the people who wrote them." John tries to stop him before he can escape, but the regent activates a hidden route built into the building's own architecture. Before vanishing completely, he leaves John with one last line. "If you want the truth, come to Rome." Then he's gone. John turns to Winston, who understands immediately what that invitation actually is. Rome isn't an invitation at all. It's a trap. The Continental survives the night, badly damaged but still standing, and for the first time in its history, an entire Continental has openly rebelled against the High Table itself. New York, at least for now, is out of their control. John, Kane, Akira, and Winston stand together in the wreckage of the lobby, nobody entirely sure what comes next. John opens the file still tucked inside his jacket, the same one carrying that strange black symbol. Inside this time is a location. Rome. Kane looks over at him. "You know what happens when you go there?" John studies the photograph for a long moment. "Yes." Kira asks the obvious question. "And you're still going?" John looks out toward the ruined city beyond the Continental's shattered windows. "That's where this ends," he says. Winston corrects him quietly, the way only he can. "No, Jonathan." He looks at John steadily. "That's where it begins."